Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inum, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. Vice President Shettima returns to Abuja after UNGA 80 Germany engagements. Court dismisses suit against Tinubu over River State emergency proclamation. More than 50 trapped under collapsed Indonesian school building. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has unveiled the renovated Wole Soyinka Center for Center and Creativity Arts, formerly known as the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, marking the official reopening of the iconic cultural landmark. President Tinubu arrived at the venue at about 6:24 p.m. on Wednesday for the reopening ceremony of the edifice, now renamed the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts. The renovation of the center was funded and overseen by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in collaboration with the Bankers Committee. The Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy provided policy direction and oversight guiding the transformation of the facility into a national asset and a launch pad for Nigeria's creative industries. Recall that Tinubu had in July 2024 renamed the edifice the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts in honor of the Nobel Council seat. In another engagement, he showcased the country's $200 billion energy transition opportunity to global investors. The vice president also assured the Nigerian diaspora community of robust engagement in the President Tinubu's administration policies and programs before his engagements in Germany. In another development, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed the suit instituted against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, challenging the March 18, 2025 proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The declaration of the state of emergency by the Tinubu-led administration to the suspension of the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months. It also led to the appointment of an administrator who took charge of running the affairs for the period, delivering judgment in a suit filed by Belema Briggs and 4 others against the emergency rule. Justice Omotosho held that the 5 plaintiffs lacked the legal power to institute the case. The judge said that such a case as constituted can only be determined by the Supreme Court. Away from that, the National Emergency Management Council, NEMA, has confirmed that 24 passengers were rescued from the coast. In a post today, NEMA said 42 persons remained missing as search and rescue operations continue. According to the agency, the incident occurred on Tuesday evening when a boat carrying about 80 passengers capsized on the River Niger. The boat had departed Onugwa community in Ibaji local government area and was heading to Oloshi village, has sacked all commissioners and other public office holders serving in his administration. The decision, according to a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Wednesday evening by his Chief Press Secretary Nelson Chukwudi, takes immediate effect and follows the recent Supreme Court judgment. The governor, during a valedictory session with his cabinet to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary at the Government House, Port Harcourt, thanked the outgoing officials for their services and contributions to the state's development over the past 2 years. Fubara also reiterated his commitment to serve the state with renewed vigor while expressing gratitude to the River State people for their support and wishing Nigerians a happy independence celebration. And moving now to Africa, where South African opposition politician Julius Malema has been found guilty of illegal possession of a gun and firing it in public, offences which carry a minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. In 2018, a video emerged showing the Economic Freedom Fighters EFF leader using a semi-automatic rifle to fire several shots in the air during his party's 5th anniversary celebrations held in the country's Eastern Cape province. He was charged alongside his former bodyguard, Adrian Sneeman, who was acquitted. Malema was convicted of hate speech less than 2 months ago and often lashes out at the white minority in a country where 31 years after apartheid ended, racial tensions still run high. He called for the seizure of white-owned land and argues that more should be done to transfer wealth to the black majority. Malema was convicted of 5 offences, including the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, discharging it in a public place, and reckless endangerment. These offences fall under the Firearms Control Act and carry a minimum sentence of 15 years. And still in Africa, at least 30 people have died and more than 200 others have been injured after scaffolding collapsed at a church in Ethiopia. According to local police inspector Ahmed Gegbeyehu, who told reporters thousands of worshippers were gathered at the Areti Miriam Church early in the morning when the structure fell. The crowd had visited the church in the central Minja Sheikh Nora area, about 70 kilometers from the capital Addis Ababa, as part of the annual Orthodox Christian celebration of St. Mary. Ahmed said the death toll might increase, adding that those confirmed deceased were aged between 25 and 80. On the foreign scene, rescuers in Indonesia raced against time to reach dozens of students and staff trapped under the rubble of a collapsed multi-story boarding school on Java today. Authorities say at least 5 people have died and around 59 remain missing following Monday's disaster, as families wait anxiously for news and emergency teams attempt a complex tunnel rescue amid unstable debris. Rescuers searching for people trapped under a collapsed school in Indonesia today are hoping to dig a tunnel at the risk of destabilizing the rubble to reach an estimated 59 still missing. Part of the multi-story boarding school on the main island of Java suddenly gave way on Monday as students gathered for afternoon prayers. School records shows that 91 people were buried under the rubble. According to the National Disaster and Mitigation Agency, at least 5 people have been confirmed dead. And still on the foreign scene, Brazil condemned Israel on Wednesday after the Israeli Navy intercepted a flotilla carrying aid to Gaza, with several Brazilian nationals on board, including a lawmaker. The global Seamode flotilla, involving around 45 vessels carrying politicians and activists, left Spain last month, aiming to break Israel's blockade of Palestinian territories, where the United Nations says famine has set in after nearly 2 years of war. Reports say Israeli forces stopped more than a dozen boats as they were sailing through the Mediterranean Sea in international waters. Meanwhile, Brasilia is one of the many governments worldwide that have called on Israel to remove restrictions on humanitarian aid allowed to enter the Gaza Strip. And still to come in the news. Arsenal extend perfect start in Champions League with Olympiacos win. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News at 4. On our business news, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASAN, has clarified that it did not sign the communique that ended its recent strike against Dangote Refinery. Recall that the union suspended its nationwide strike on Wednesday after government intervention, but insisted its concerns were not fully addressed. Speaking with newsmen today, PENGASAN President Festus Osifo stated that the document presented at the meeting was not an agreement. Osifo further stressed that the statement was only a communication from the Minister of Labour and Employment, acting as the chief conciliator. The PENGASAN and the private refinery had been at loggerheads over unresolved labour issues. And still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited Group Chief Executive Officer Bashir Ojulari has lamented the crude and gas production losses resulting from the three-day strike carried out by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. In a letter written to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Ojulari explained that the suspended strike led to 16% oil production and 30% marketed gas losses, while the nation suffered a 20% power supply shortfall. The National Oil Company's letter dated 29 September 2025, entitled Impact Assessment of Ongoing Industrial Action, was also sent to the National Security Advisor and the Director General of Department of State Services. In health, the World Health Organization has said that an Ebola outbreak declared in Democratic Republic of Congo in early September has caused 42 deaths out of 64 confirmed cases, but the risk of it spreading in the region is moderate. Recall that health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo 2 weeks ago began rolling out a vaccine program against the fatal virus. The highly contagious hemorrhagic fever has killed some 15,000 people in Africa over the past 50 years. The deadliest Ebola outbreak in the DRC between 2018 and 2020 killed nearly 2,300 people. Last month's vaccination campaign followed the announcement of a resurgence of the disease in the central province of Kasai. And still in health, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has directed its members to stop engaging in more than 24 hours of continuous call duty from October 1st, 2025. NARD President Dr. Mohammed Suleiman disclosed this in an exclusive interview with reporters, saying that the move is aimed at protecting doctors' health and ensuring safer care for patients. He explained that the association had repeatedly raised concerns about excessive costs. To sports news now, where Gabriel Martinelli extended Arsenal's perfect start in the Champions League as the Brazilian forward inspired a 2-0 victory against Olympiacos on Wednesday. After winning 2-0 at the Athletic Bilbao in their Champions League opener, Arsenal dispatched the Greek champions at the Emirates Stadium to maintain their 100% record in the league phase. Martinelli netted in the first half and Bukayo Saka wrapped up the points in the closing moments. The North Londoners were not at their best, but still managed to grind out a 7th win from all 9 games in competitions this season. Mikel Arteta's men improved their impressive home record in the Champions League with a 10 clean sheet in their last 13 matches in the competition. And still in sports, Anthony Gordon scored a pair of penalties as Newcastle eased to a 4-0 win away to Belgian side Union St. Gilloise on Wednesday to pick up their first points in the Champions League. Nick Woltemade flicked in Sandro Tonali's shot to give Newcastle the lead in Brussels before Gordon converted twice from the spot on a comfortable night for Eddie Howe's men. Javi Barnes comes off the bench to add a fourth as Newcastle responded well to a stinging Premier League defeat by Arsenal on Sunday and an opening loss in Europe to Barcelona 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Newcastle's 2 most expensive summer signings, Woltemade and Anthony Elanga, started alongside Gordon for the first time with the club, looking to move on from the acrimonious departure of Alexander Isak to Liverpool. On our entertainment news, Nigerian Afrobeat singer Divine Ukubo, popularly known as Rema, has been featured in the 2025 Time 100 Next list, which spotlights the world's most influential rising stars. The list features people from an array of industries, from movies and music to sports and science to politics and philanthropy. Rema is the only African artist honored this year. His profile was written by the legendary musician Angelique Kidjo. Global music powerhouses like Teyana Taylor and Glorilla are also among 100 emerging leaders and entertainers who make the cut for the Time 100 Next list. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on